So, students, I'm going to click on this link here. I made my account. I'm going to click on this I want to up here, and I'm going to click this quick assessment, okay? Now, here we got a nice little pizza, and this is going to basically ask you about what things you're interested in. So if you know anything about me, I like investigating. I like a nice mystery, right? I also like working with people. You would hope, because I'm a teacher, right? It would not be very good if I was not a teacher. And I also, believe it or not, I like enterprising. I like projects, right? So those are my 3 skills, or the 3 things I'm interested in. It's important to know these aren't necessarily skills you have yet, but these are things that you are interested in. You'll notice also when you mouse over, the website here will tell you about what kind of things you do, right? So if I'm realistic, I'll deal with plants, animals, blah, 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 blah. I hate plants and animals. I'm kidding. But I have back problems, so I can't really see myself dealing with real world materials like wood, tools, and machinery, right? That's not something I'd be very good at. So then the website is going to generate a bunch of jobs for me, right? So it's going to list a bunch of jobs, and when you know it, here is the dream job that I gave up on, historians. Now you might wonder, why Mr. D did you give up on this job? Well, that comes to the second part of this assignment, where you click on this job and you learn about what you need to do in order to achieve this job, right? You'll see over here, preparation, job zone 5. There's maybe no job in the world that requires more preparation and has less of a guarantee of a job at the end of the road than an academic historian, right? I am not a historian, I'm a history teacher. You also notice the salary isn't that great, right? But let's say I'm interested in this job, which I am, right? So then I'm going to go over here, right? And I'm going to click on my student career profiles, and it's going to open a copy of this little document I set up just for you. Now I'm going to make a copy here so that I don't mess up with your copy, and I'm going to show you how to do this, right? So I put in historian, right? That is the career title I'm interested in. And then you're going to fill out these boxes here, right? Where did I put this? Okay. You'll also see, hey, this website tells you a lot of what these things do, right? But I'm going to guess that you don't understand all these words, okay? For example, all this stuff, right? You might say, what the heck is the distribution of plant, animal, and human life? Or you might say, knowledge of principles and processes for providing customer and personal services. What the heck does that mean? Honestly, not quite sure. So, what you might do when you're trying to fill out the box that says what do they need to do and be able to know how to know and do, right? What do they need to be able to know and do, right? What does a historian do? You put it into Google. Oh, look at this. You're going to ignore this box here, the AI overview. This is not actually accurate yet. I have found it with a lot of incorrect information. Instead, you're going to look for reputable websites, right? Oh, look, there is a government website, the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Labor means work. And look at that, right? They have plenty of information about what historians do. You'll also notice this actually is more accurate. This says that the average historian makes $92,000. That's a lie. The average historian makes less than that, right? Entry-level education. They're actually they're kind of underselling it. You need more than a master's degree. You need a PhD. That's like the highest degree you can possibly get. That's actually more than what a doctor has. But right here they say what historians do. Oh, look at that, right? So all this stuff will tell you about what historians must do, what the jobs they do, right? You'll also notice here why I didn't become a historian. there's only about 300 new jobs for a historian in the United States every year. So there's many tens of thousands of people looking to become a historian, and only 300 people, right? So if I go to school for 15 years, I have about, a 3% chance of becoming a historian. Not very good, right? This is why it's important to look things up before you go to school for 15 years. And you can click on things like, okay, what is a work environment historian, right? Spend some time clicking around, figuring out, hey, what do historians do? How do you become one? Oh, look at this. Historians typically looking at a master's degree or PhD to enter occupation. Well, you might say, how long does it take to get a PhD in history? Right? This is the kind of research I want you guys doing. This says it's 6 to 9 years, but that's on top of your undergraduate degree, which takes 9 years. It takes 4 years, and there's some more stuff included, right? So, very important, right? To look these things up before you get a career. So, what does a historian do? Let's go back to the good website. Excuse me. Research, analyze, interpret, and write about the past. So right here, I'll say research, analysis, interpretation, lots of writing. I happen to know a historian is writing, many hundreds of pages a year, and also lots of reading, right? Etc. How do people prepare for this job? You should include what kind of education. So you need a college degree, master's, and PhD. So master's takes about 2 to 3 years. A PhD takes 6 to 9. Let's say 8. Right? So that together takes at least 10 years. Right? And then, but also, you need to publish a dissertation. I happen to know that top of the head. Right? You can also find that, once again, over here. Right? You should keep looking and keep reading until you can answer these questions. And remember, I want you to think about what you'd actually like to do. So I think I talked to Cherish the other day. She said she wants to become a doctor, right? So I might look up how to become a doctor, right? Boom, here's a good thing, right? It's a lengthy process that requires years of hard work and tremendous patience. Patience. If you're Cherish and you're shocked by this information, I apologize. But for everyone else, this is very good news, right? You wouldn't want your doctor saying, hey, I just started working as a doctor yesterday and I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm sure I'll figure it out along the way, right? You want your doctor knowing what they're doing. At least I want my doctor to know what they're doing, right? So you're going to read this article and you are going to find out how to become a doctor, right? And summarize this in bullet points. By the way, if you want to add a bullet points, you just click this button over here. See bulleted list? You can also do Control-Shift-8 and make a bulleted list. You also need to say why you think you'd enjoy working in this job, right? And you need to have at least 2 complete sentences. So for a historian, saying, I have a passion for history and love reading about it every day. I want my work to have a social function and help educate future generations about the past. I also love books, right? Pretty simple. That's 3 sentences about why you enjoyed working in this job. Here's something to consider, right? A lot of you guys, when I started working, you said, why didn't you become a YouTuber? Well, you got to think about this. You're going to spend at least 8 hours a day, so 40 hours a week, for the next 40 years after you graduate doing your job, right? A lot of you guys might think, I have some ideas for YouTube videos. Well, do you have 40 years worth of ideas for YouTube videos? And remember, if you run out of ideas, well, there goes your house. There goes your medical care. There goes your child's education. Suddenly you're on the street begging for coins, right? Now, not everyone can be Mr. Beast, and even Mr. Beast kind of seems like he lives a lonely, miserable life if you're reading the news. So I want you to really think about what kind of careers are practical for you. Now, I also want you to dream big, right? There's nothing wrong with wanting to become a historian. If you're like, man, I love school, I'm fine spending the next 15 years of my life in school. That sounds exciting because the real world scares me. Well, welcome to academia. That's why everyone becomes a historian, right? Real world is scary. If you want to become a doctor, that is a great career. It's very well paid, it's very well respected, and not only that, I want to say this. If you become a doctor, you don't have to go home and wonder, hey, am I making the world a better place? If you become a historian, you don't have to go home and wonder, are you making the world a better place? If you're a teacher, you don't have to go home and wonder, hey, am I leaving the world in a better place than where I found it? If you're a stockbroker, yes, you can make millions of dollars a year, but you might have to wonder, am I a good person or am I going to hell? So that is something to consider as well, right? Will you be happy? Will you be successful? Can you imagine yourself doing it for 40 years? And to put 40 years into perspective, we start forming our memories around, 5 to 6 years old. So think about everything you remember from now and since you were 5 or 6. You guys are 11, right? That's about 5 years, 6 years, right? Multiply that by, 6? More, right? That's how long you're going to be working. Let's just do some quick math. Yep. 6. So take everything you could possibly remember and multiply that by 6, and that's about how long you'll be working in your chosen career. Okay? That's a long, long time. So don't write down things that you're like, that would be fun for a weekend, but I might get tired of it. Right? Write down things you'd seriously consider. And there's absolutely no shame, let's go back to this website, right, in saying none of these jobs seem interesting. Right? You should talk to Mr. Giovanni and say, what the heck does an audiologist do? They assess and treat person with hearing and related disorders. Sounds really interesting. Or maybe it sounds terrible. I don't know. Right? If this doesn't help, I want you to ask Mr. Giovanni. I want you to talk to your friends. I want you to look up career ideas. Right? Boom. Right? I want you to click on links. Look up what great jobs there are in the world. Right? A nurse practitioner. That's a very great job. That's like between being a nurse and a doctor. You'll notice, that's a pretty good salary, $121,000 a year. That's more than Mr. D is making. But you do need a master's degree. Right? However, if you go to, let's say you want to go over here. Maybe you're interested in education. And you want to become a teacher's assistant. That's like a paraeducator. That's a great job. However, you're making $30,000 a year. That's hard to pay for, right? So pay for things like housing. If you're curious, by the way, the median cost of living in Alameda County is, I'm not going to tell you my annual salary, but it's pretty high, okay? If you want to own a home, you're going to need to pony up over $1 million, okay? You're going to need to spend about a few $1,000s a month on rent, right? It is not cheap to live in this country, unfortunately. So you're going to need to make a lot of money. So you got to balance things like money, career satisfaction, all that, okay? And when the time you turn this in, at the end of the day, I expect you to have 4 different careers filled out, okay? Just like I've done here. Then, at the bottom, you're going to write a letter to your parents, okay? This should take you over an hour, I think. Spend some time, look things up, take quizzes online, talk to Mr. Giovanni, talk to your friends, right? If you have to, talk to Mr. John, talk to other teachers, right? How did they decide what careers they wanted to, right? All that stuff. I expect this to take at least an hour, probably more. So down here, you're going to write at least 8 sentences to your parents covering the following: your goals for this year, your goals for the future, how you're going to achieve these goals, and what your hopes and dreams are for your life. Now, this may seem like a huge letter, so I've helped you out. If you click on this link, you'll see I included a bunch of sentence starters for you to say what you want in life, right? For example, when you're writing about what you want for this year, you can start off with this little sentence and fill in what comes after. All of these should be in complete sentences. So here's some tips. For this year, I want you to think kind of small, right? Maybe your goal is to get all A's. Maybe your goal is to make a certain team. Maybe your goal is just to pick up your room every day, right? Think something that I want, an achievable goal, right? If your goal is to have a YouTube channel with 100 million subscribers, good for you, but that is not a realistic goal in 1 year, all right? None of us are talented enough to achieve that. Okay. Then you're going to say your dream for the future. That's stuff like careers, right? This is a perfect opportunity to take this stuff, right, and put it into a sentence. Hey, I decided I really think becoming a historian is interesting, so my dream for the future is to get into an amazing school so I can become a historian, right? Just think about stuff like that. Also, here's a really important part, and I think you should spend multiple sentences talking about this, how you will achieve these goals. That's for both this year's goal and the future. And I want concrete steps. I want you to say, I will achieve these goals by, right? So let's say you're picking up your room 3 times a week. Say, I will make sure I pick up my goal pick up my room 3 times a week by setting a reminder on my phone at night on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday so I never forget, right? That is a concrete step you can take to achieve that goal, right? If you just say, I will do this by not forgetting, that's not a concrete step, right? That's good for you if you achieve it, but I want you to actually say how you're going to achieve this goal, right? Get creative. Right here, here's how to make your parents very happy. Hopes and dreams for life, right? You can say something fun, like I hope to have 100 million YouTube subscribers, but I would advise you to make your parents happy. Say something like, I hope to be able to provide for you guys just like you provided for me. And I hope to make you retire in comfort and security. I love you, Mom and Dad. Right? If your parents read that on back to school night, you might get some extra ice cream. If they read instead that they want to be a YouTube influencer, you might get less ice cream than you expect. Right? That would be my advice. And you should have a little closing, right? Thank you, I love you, or please rescue me from Mr. D, something nice at the end. Right? I'm going to print this out and leave it on your desk so your parents know more about your goals, okay? So your parents will be seeing this on Wednesday. I cannot emphasize it enough. Your parents will be seeing this on Wednesday. So, you've seen what I asked you to do. You've seen how I expect you to do it. And then you're going to click on this little rubric here. This is how I'm assessing you, okay? I have a little rubric, right? And you get points for achieving the things I asked you to do, right? Oops, I need to remake one of these because it's duplicated, but it's going to be out of 30 points, right? Basically, if you've done what I've asked you to do, you're going to get all this stuff. If you haven't done what I asked you to do, you're going to find that you have to come in to make up the work, right? I just got an email from Miss Bakit saying, please make sure that your students know if they have a B- or below, because they might have to come in after school and make up the work. So my advice for you is to make your best use of your time today and finish this, work hard, and then when you're done, you can go to typing.com, you can read, you can work on other homework, you cannot play random video games, okay? And Mr. Giovanni is going to let you guys take breaks as appropriate, okay? If you have any questions, you can ask Mr. Giovanni. It's pretty self-explanatory, but do your best. Additionally, if you feel like, Mr. D, I am still learning the English language, are you going to penalize me if I am not perfect? I know I actually have on record who is still learning the English language and who has lived here their whole life. So if you are, say, a little bit behind in terms of your acquisition of the English language because you just moved here, I'm not going to grade you extra harsh, right? I know what you're capable of, okay? Just do your best and have fun. And this is your opportunity to explore things, right? Maybe you want to be a doctor. Have you really thought about what it takes to be a doctor? How much education it takes to become a doctor? How much money it costs to become a doctor? Because that education isn't free, right? So I want you guys to think really hard and get 4 really nice options for a career and then explain how you're going to achieve it down here. And I really hope to see you guys on Tuesday. If I do not, I'm going to have to think of something else. Oh, that reminds me. If you are done with all this, one other thing you can work on is your... I'm going to make my face bigger so you can see my beautiful face. One other thing you can work on is your lunchroom fight work. You should have completed parts 1 and part 2 by the end of class on Tuesday at least. We're going to try to start part 3 on Tuesday. So what I just assigned should be done by the end of the day today, right? All that stuff about writing a letter to your parents, that's going to be done by Monday night. So Tuesday night, you got to have your materials. By Tuesday morning, you got to have all your materials ready. You got to have your lunchroom fight stuff ready and be ready to work, right? Don't come in saying, sorry, Mr. D, I was playing on Roblox all day. I couldn't get my work done. That ain't my problem, all right? I really hope that you guys have a good day, and I hope I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.